You know, we are at a cusp where we have seen the old banking, we are seeing the new banking, and if we stay long enough, we will see a banking which is totally unrecognizable as of today. So, ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to our speakers. Before I invite my first speaker on stage, I would like to also remind you that we have a countdown timer out here. We will be ringing the bell 1 minute before the end of the session. So please try and finish as quickly as possible. We would like to invite on stage Mr. Shrirang Deshpande, Country Head Strategic Program, Vertiv, India. Please get your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, as Mr. Deshpande joins us on stage.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much. It's been a couple of years we were here now. It's good to see you all again. And thank you, Sigal sir. It was a very insightful session. As you said rightly, imagining or reimagining cannot be possible without putting customer at the center stage. So it's all about changing the user experience. And at Vertiv, we believe the philosophy of helping our users to help their users better. So we being at the very bottom layer of infrastructure, we being an infrastructure player for data centers, we have to help you to help your customers better. So with that, we thought, why don't we speak about how do we enable better user experience or a different user experience as a part of imagining or reimagining. So Vertiv has been there in the market or in the industry for the last 3 decades. Erstwhile we were known as Emerson. And in 2016, we became a 100% subsidiary of, or 100% independent company. It was part of Emerson and it is listed separately in 2016. And since then, we are running as an independent company. Now, what is our source of revenue? What is that we do? We work, we eat, we sleep, drink only with data centers and infrastructure areas. So if you look at more than close to 70% of our revenue comes out of infrastructure or a critical infrastructure. We also would like to call ourselves as an architects of continuity because we enable the business continuity as we are on a bottom layer, as we are on an infrastructure layer. And be it it's a communication infrastructure, be it the data center infrastructure or infrastructure which runs your businesses is something which we take a pride saying that we would like to be an architects of continuity. Though we are an American company, more than 50% business we do out of India. It's a widespread organization, more than 130 countries. Now in India, we have spent, we are there right from 1991. It's known as Tata Liebert, and then we became Emerson, and now we are becoming Vertiv, or we are already Vertiv. So with this, I would like to take you through how we look at it as an enabling user experience or a different experience for our customers. And for that, we just thought to understand what are the trends which are there in the market today. Okay. Now, as we see physical form mentioned by Sir, and obviously I can also give you a reference because of 75th independence anniversary of our India. Our Honorable Finance Minister has also launched many initiatives in banking, and one of them is a smart branch, or I would say digital branch. So while you are imagining physical, it is also look like that it is going to be unmanned branch very soon in India. And we are witnessing this outside world or outside India, that there are few branches which we are enabling through robots, or they are unmanned so that user can come 24/7, do whatever services they want to extend or execute and go away. It's not a personalized interaction anymore. Of course, in rural India, it will still continue for long, but at least in the urban areas, we see that as an. So, to develop the smart branch or a digital branch or a fully unmanned branch, we need to also support you well, and that's one of the area. Now, if you look at top 4 or 5 trends, which is suggested by the Gartners or advanced research company, one is of course artificial intelligence is one area which I can see a couple of other colleagues or other sponsors who are also part of AI activity. Open banking is a new concept in India, but going to catch up very well, very soon. And obviously there are other investment which we see in banking is about conversational platform and unified communication. with this, we see a CAGR of at least 21% over the next 4-5 years. And it's going to be almost 5 million industry when it comes to IT infrastructure. So with this trend, what we see, what is there in it for us? Now, if you look at how the touch points of any customer or how are the touch points of any user, sometimes customers are invisible, they work through in net banking, sometimes they are very connected with many of this ecosystem of a bank. And we at Vertiv plays a very pivotal role in every aspect. If you talk about branch, we are there as a support infrastructure. If you go to main office or anything which for that matter, finally a core banking or all business applications are being run on a data center for which we are supporting this. So we look at every aspects of the ecosystem of a bank, Vertiv can be a partner to all of you. And with this, the rate at change of transactions are growing, especially in pandemic, we have seen change in universal payment interfaces or UPI industries. It is phenomenal. And I can tell you one of our customers is growing every year with respect to infrastructure because the rate at which the transactions are growing. The infrastructure is not enough to cater to that need or that acceleration of transaction. And that makes us challenging situation to introduce, make more adaptable, more modular and more advanced solutions for our customers. Now, while we are talking about all this thing as an infrastructure, the managing infrastructure also becomes very, very important. So when about 10 years back, we were investing on how we can make our product good. Later we decided how can we make a more better solutions which will suit to a customer. And today the word is how the overall ecosystem can be worked right from design, engineering, implementation and a life cycle. So that is the way we are moving, or rather that is the way we are introducing ourselves or reintroducing ourselves in front of customers. Now let's look at finally the differentiating factors is what we are talking is nothing but a user experience. And that user experience can come or can be decided only if you have a good interface, if you have a faster customer response or a redressal system, resilient infrastructure. In fact, I can tell you there are instances sometimes we switch from one digital payment app to a second payment app because we don't want to wait that app responds. And from X to Y we shift or Y to X we shift very often. That's primarily because of either a latency issue. It may not be because of app or that particular organization. Network latency is also a bigger challenge. So this is where we are all contributing towards user experience, and at Vertiv we are enabling this. We are trying to improve this by way of providing solutions which are adaptable, advanced and modular in nature. And that is where we are investing in our future also. Now, where do we see our ecosystem? Now, typically any banking ecosystem or a BFSI ecosystem works on multi-availability, which is a new thing. Sometimes you have a data center which is on-prem, sometimes you have a data center which is colo, sometimes it is on edge or a far edge, many aspects of that. So at Vertiv, we look at this ecosystem. One is supporting your data centers, supporting your disaster recovery centers by way of various solutions. The back office or a mid application areas are also important to run the overall banking services. That's where we play a role. The whole ecosystem is finally seen by the edge, which is branch or ATM, which is also played by us in terms of infrastructure. And then whole ecosystem needs to be serviced well, managed well, as well as monitored well. Anything which we can measure can monitor, or if it is monitored can be managed well. With that principle, we contribute ourselves to every ecosystem. So while we are doing this, we thought why don't we take you through some of the use cases which we have done in India. Especially for one of the leading bank, we have built a very large on-prem data center. It's a greenfield site which was built about 3.5 megawatt of a data center. And of course, that particular bank has got both on-prem as well as colo because of availability zone or a risk de-risking approach. And this was the first of its kind data center which was built by us. One, the building was a precast, which means it was very fastly built or a very, very efficiently built one. Two, it became a first data center in India which was green platinum by IGBC, Indian Green Building Council. And at the same time, the same data center was being recognized by many international approvals like Uptime Institutes and all that. So this is while we are building this data center, we are trying to get as many approvals or as many recognition to that data center so that it gives a reliability. It also adopts the best practices which are there available beyond India. So that's our approach when we are talking to a customer. Now, comes second. Now, if you look at certain customers don't build their on-premise data centers, but they go on colo. Now, when on colo, the basic utility like space, cooling, and power is something which is provided by the colo service provider. But on the floor, there are many services, be it environment management, be it asset management. Asset management is an important thing. You have multiple data centers, let's say, and those assets are spread across multiple locations. How do we track them? How do we manage them from a physical standpoint? Because it becomes an audit compliance and audit issue sometimes. Then, when you are on a white space, how do you manage environment? Temperature monitoring, humidity monitoring, power management. For example, if you want to introduce some servers in a facility, how do we say that, okay, is it you have a power capacity available, you have a use space available. So these are all what if activities, what we do on a white space. Apart from that, we also manage, in pandemic what has happened, the most requirement which came from our customers were remote management. Because all of a sudden, the customers who were supposed to be going inside data center and managing their assets had to be managing from the home. And if those data centers were not capable for remote manageability or remote diagnostic feature, it was very difficult. So many of our customers came back to us asking for a network management remotely or a server management remotely. Is something which is coming up very well. So when we are talking about reimagining, you can, a pandemic, I mean, it's something which has experienced a lot or given a lot of experience to us with respect to getting ourselves ready for any eventuality. So this is again one more leading map which we have developed the solutions, and today the auditing reports come automatically with respect to asset, energy management, or I would say physical tracking of those assets is something which we do for those banks. The next activities, obviously I'm just going from typically main data center, colo center, then comes to a back office where you may not be running a business application, but you still run some native application or a mid application. So back office, importantly what we done, we were the first one to introduce pre-engineered data center. What I mean by that, when you talk about data center, we used to design on a drawing board, then go with multi-vendor activity, build them on the side, and then execute the project. Which means you're dependent upon many activities, and it may so happen that no two data centers can be same, no quality of design can be same, or no deliverables can be same. From that perspective, we introduced something called smart solution. And smart solution is nothing but a pre-engineered, pre-configurable data centers, no matter what is the capacity you're talking about, right from a small edge to a bigger capacity up to few tens of racks or few hundreds of racks is something which we have introduced here. And these are again pre-engineered one. You can see in that picture, there's no separate room for that data center. So it's a new concept for room neutral, which means as long as you have a very strong security aspects being built in data center, it can be room neutral. You need not to have a separate room. And that being compliant for many international standards for fire safety, for compliance to tier 3 compliance, and many things which require to be is expected in data center area. So this is a new thing which we have introduced, and believe me, we have more than 1,200 installations for such product or such solutions for such many verticals, and banking being one of the tall claim we would like to do here. The next use case is again a retail branch. Now, many banks or many BFSI institutes build IT rooms separately within the branch. So it's a room-in-room concept, wherein you put all your infrastructure, physical infrastructure, power management, safety, security, surveillance, and then you put a network and all that. We are asking customer to go away from that concept because that space is available for you to do business, about 70, 80, 100 square feet of land. And most of the time, your branches are in prime locations. The cost of real estate is very high. So in many banks now, we are introducing this as a cabinet, which is called as a smart cabinet. And fortunately, we could display in an adjacent place. I would request all of you to come and see how the smart cabinet look like. And this is, I would say, integrating all the services, all the gadgets, all the IT equipment which are required inside the branch. It could be your transformer, it could be your electrical distribution, it could be UPS, backup, air conditioning, routers, switches, surveillance, safety, security, monitoring, everything is in a cabinet. And we have installed, again for one of the leading bank, more than 1,000 installations for branch. So what happens here, what's the saving? One, you don't depend upon many vendors, you depend upon only one vendor. Two, every branch quality of deliverable is same. Three, your supply chain, your deployment time goes highly reduced, or it gets very optimized quite well. And it is a standard offering. And can be configured for the requirement of your either a rural branch or an urban branch or a high capacity or high volume branch. Depending upon that, those things can be configured. So I would request all of you to come and see how we are delivering this to many of the banks, and that's how we would like to do it. And what we keep evolving ourselves with respect to offerings, with respect to experiences to the customer. And I can tell you, during pandemic, there were two verticals who have been continue to invest. One is of course telecom, or a colo, or a data center, and banking. But for the branch, there was some challenge, but we could support all our customers quite well. So from that perspective, I would request, give us an opportunity, because we have a huge use cases in India, and we would like to work with you, all of you. Thank you so much. I would take any questions or any queries if you have. Thank you.
As a common person in India, they don't know this company.
Okay. Just a second, I'll give you the mic.
See, there's 21,000 people in the company. You know, even the common guy, they're not aware about this company name and the services, like me also. So, what is the best or creative product you have?
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I'll just take a couple of minutes to answer this question. We were primarily a power management and cooling management company for data centers or a physical infrastructure. And we were there in India at the name of Tata Liber. Until 1991, we became Emerson Network Power, and in 2016 we became Vertiv. So this is the company who does all the power management for all your data centers, mainly UPS systems, backup systems, distribution systems. At the same time, as we are pioneered in air conditioning for cooling for data centers, we are not into general cooling or general comfort air conditioning. We are primarily famous for precision air conditioning. Now, precision air conditioning is something which goes for mostly sensible heat rejection. What I mean by sensible, a heat rejected by the equipments is addressed by us. But heat rejected by the human being, or it's an ambient, it's something addressed by comfort cooling. So our cooling is more specialized with respect to temperature, with respect to humidity, and whatever product we work or we develop, it's being developed for a very, very long life cycle. In the sense, they run continuously 24/7 by 365 days for many years. Unlike the comfort AC, you cannot run beyond 8-10 hours. You'll have to work in a cyclic mode, but precision ACs are into that. Secondly, this is from a peripheral services standpoint. Now I am coming to a power distribution. Now power distribution is an important area post UPS system, because that is an area which is ever changing. Today you have a four servers or 5 servers in, tomorrow you want to change, whether you have enough capacity available, how do you measure that, how do you monitor that. So we have a lot of intelligent and smart system to build those kind of monitoring aspects. Then once you go inside the rack, what are the monitoring aspects? One is airflow, air conditioning monitoring inside the rack. Then you talk about certain assets you can remotely manage. You can manage routers remotely, you can switch on your routers or switches remotely, you can manage your servers remotely. As a KVM's offering is something which we offer. And as we are increasing our footprint in that white space, we are now have developed asset management, asset tracking kind of a solution. So if you look at right from, if you imagine a data center, we build products and solution outside the four wall, which is power, cooling, and if you come inside the four wall, we talk about management, we talk about environmental management, we talk about asset management, and we talk about remote management. So this is how we build. And all these users experiences which I am referring to, there are quite a few of them we have already displayed in our stall. I would request you just pay a visit as and when you find it.
I have one question.
Yeah, please.
I think all your components you are manufacturing in India, right?
Yes.
So what is your delivery time?
Okay. Right from our inception, we always want to manufacture and produce in India because we understand that delivery times are important. So for various products, timelines are different. Generally, it varies from 4 to 6 weeks to about 10 to 12 weeks, depending upon what product you would like to have. But after pandemic, there are certain challenges which we face, which we are overcoming because of mainly chip issues or supply chain issues or logistics issues. That is where we are actually increasing a bit, but again we are getting into a control. Any specific offering if you are looking for, we can discuss offline and I can talk to you about the lead time requirement. But generally, being a manufacturer of India, based out of India, we can offer our product right up to, some of the products are off the shelf because they stock and sale. Some of the products are manufactured, so it goes about 4 to 6 weeks and then can go up to 12, 14 weeks also. Because I'll tell you, all our customers' data centers are not same. They're different. So they are configured different, their capacity wise different, their requirement wise different. So that's where we have to, it's a custom build, like every time you have to order, every time you have to manufacture it, kind of. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.